Welcome to The Relationship Edge, a podcast where we explore the power of relationships in the private markets. I'm Ablorde Ashigbe, the CEO of 4Degrees, your host, and I'm joined today by John Hill, the Chief Evangelist at TechStars. John, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure, Blorde. And it's been way too long for the two of us, so this is great.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so glad to get this opportunity to catch up with you. So we'll dive right into this. So, John, you've been in network building and relationship building roles for quite a long time, having served as VP of Network at TechStars and Network Catalyst at TechStars, and a number of prior roles at LinkedIn that had similar sort of capacity. As you've gone from role to role, how have you thought about kind of maintaining your own existing network of relationships?
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in building quality networks because they create fidelity for others to navigate them and create opportunity for themselves. So I generally use myself as a vessel to support whoever I'm connected with or engaged with at that time. For the last decade, it's been TechStars. So specifically, how do I help TechStars founders through relational capital generate funding or for talent, for customer acquisition, knowledge, and mentorship? Now, on the quality side, I'm a big believer in Reid Hoffman. He was an awesome human to work with, and I was there when he was still in the offices. And at the time I was there, he was writing a book called The Startup of You. And he actually was able to show how to build an effective quality network to create opportunity for yourself long term. And the categories of people that he focused on were friends and family, shared work experience, university, and then anything you do to support yourself professionally. So these are events you attend, associations you're engaged with, communities that you lean into. And then like a secondary one is geography, so your backyard. So when I focus on building my relationships, those are the affiliations I kind of lean into. And then I try to give to my network as much as possible. So I'm caught on stage 15 years ago saying give, give, give with no expectation of receiving or pay it forward. And the fortunate thing is I found an organization that represents this concept of give first to help our founders leverage network as effectively as they can to build their companies.
Yep, absolutely. And I think certainly a beneficiary of not only your direct contributions and willingness to give, but also more broadly that of the Techstars universe and the Techstars network. And so maybe tying back to that, you always give and give and given with no expectation of getting something back. But I'd love to hear what's maybe the single biggest win or thing you got back from the network that came your way as a result of who you knew and the relationships you built.
Yeah, so I haven't applied for a job in 20 years. And I think a lot of that is driven through network. And I like ultimately you have to go through a process to say, to do interviews or engage, but my name is surfaced up for roles. And then I have to validate that through who I am and what I bring to the table. But for this role at TechStars or when I came in as Network Catalyst a decade ago, the person who made the introduction to TechStars was actually Brent Grinna, who
Yeah.
built a company called Evertrue. And Evertrue ties social cues from social media to transactional data that universities keep on alumni and then allow people to form an educated ask. So one of the organizations that Brent worked with early was LinkedIn, and I was his partner on the LinkedIn side to give him API access, which is super hard to get through the LinkedIn world. Brent, despite potentially hurting his relationship with LinkedIn, surfaced my name to Techstars saying, hey, this could be somebody who could help us build an effective alumni network for Techstars accelerators. And 9 months after the introduction, I ended up getting hired. But again, you build good relationships with people. It's amazing the doors it opens long term, and navigating the job market isn't necessarily my concern. Finding the right people to get me to the right opportunities is more of what I focus on.
Yep, absolutely. And the idea that you've never really had to apply for a job in 2 decades, I think is that is an interest, not only an interesting, but also I think a compelling way of showing how having built those relationships over long periods of time can totally transform or like manage one's career. Given that you've seen, or actually probably worked with at this point, tens of thousands of TechStars companies, if not maybe single digit thousands, but somewhere between those two numbers, I'd be curious to hear if you've seen any particular wins for companies as a result of being able to leverage like the TechStars network or the network you've been cultivating.
Yeah, I mean, let me talk a little bit broader. I know of founders who have navigated relationships to satiate what their primary needs are, and different companies for different needs. So, funding, talent, customer acquisition, knowledge, or mentorship. Access for all of those in the Techstars world have come from people who are associated with Techstars, right? So that network supports and helps itself. And literally, I could give you 2,000 examples of companies I've worked with individually, including your own, where we've talked and engaged in the past to help what you're doing with 4 degrees. So it's, I think I live what we're talking about right now. So it's hard for me to like just parse out one example or experience. It's like every day I'm doing that.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. Every day there's an opportunity for it. Um, Not only every day is there an opportunity for it, but across like the broad swath of the TechStars network, you're probably seeing examples of it taking place every single day. I guess given that you think so carefully about the process of the care and feeding of the network, the building of relationships, like I'm curious like how you actually operationalize it, right? Are there practices or habits you regularly perform,
Yeah.
frameworks or approaches you take, goals that you set for yourself?
Yeah, all of the above. And I'm operating through relationships at scale. I think there's research in the back that, like back in the day, that the average person interconnects with 200 people in a given year
Hmm.
professionally. I'm in the thousands. Every year, I'm navigating thousands and thousands of relationships. And it's super difficult to be able to do that without some kind of structure around it. Let's start with keeping your network warm. I try to take action on my network every single day to showcase to people I'm paying attention to them. What I'll do in an average day, I'll look at things like LinkedIn notifications. And if people have moved from one job to another, I'll introduce them to people that I know in the new company they're going into if I have the connection. If somebody moves from one city or location to another, and I know people where they're moving, I'll introduce them to the people I know there. If they're celebrating something in their feed, I don't hit the like button. I'll send them a direct email to cut through the clutter. I do that 20 times a day, in the course of a week, 100 times, in the course of a year, 5,000 times. I'm celebrating something that people are doing professionally. I do a just in time play. I've done it right now. I'm in Raleigh, Durham, in North Carolina. As I've been on the ground, I've been shooting people notes saying, hey, I'm not going to be able to see you, but I just want to let you know I'm thinking of you. I do that probably another 2,500 times in a given year. If I reach out to any of those people to say, hey, can you help one of our founders out? They're likely more they're more likely to help out because I've connected into them on a regular basis, celebrating something that they're doing professionally, like helping them out. And the irony to doing this is I actually hear from people saying, hey, you haven't connected me with somebody in a while. So it becomes an expectation that, like almost validation in network. If I'm not engaging with you, like, is something wrong? Right. And like, that's a fascinating turn that had happened about a decade ago after I worked at LinkedIn. But, like when you're a good purveyor of network, more opportunities through network will invariably happen. But you have to keep those networks warm to get access downstream. Now, there is a part of this that it's just intuitive to me. I just like people. I love engaging with people. I like talking with people. I can categorize a lot of engagements in my head. And that's probably why I'm in the role that I'm in. But like there are definitely formulaic things that I do uh, to, as I said, keep networks warm or keep fidelity of network.
Yeah, I mean, that's impressive when you start to think about the compounding effects of that at scale. You were just talking about it for, in the context of a day, a week, a year, but you take 2 decades of that activity, the sheer amount of touch points and relationships you built through that is, like really impressive. I'm actually curious, like, how do you, like, because you're doing so many of those, even just on a daily or weekly basis, is it something that you already have on your calendar? Like, cool, I have an hour set aside for like network engagement time, or is it more sporadic throughout the day? Like, how do you think about it?
Yeah. So for those of you who are listening in, we had to negotiate time in between meetings today while I'm on the road, and I'm actually in a car outside of a Starbucks. And so, like I try to fill the gaps on the relational side. And other people will fill the gaps for knowledge share. Other people will fill the gaps for rest, whatever. All good things, right? But for me, it's continuing to kind of stoke the flames of relationships and to support and help people out. And so anytime I can make an introduction, I'm going to work to do that. Anytime that I can bring two incredible people together, like make atoms collide, I'm going to do that. And part of it, I don't have outcomes as expectation. I just like seeing what happens when this person and this person are super unique, and if they were to combine, what would they create? And so like there's almost like this tinkering approach to it. So when I look at like the qualities that I've seen in founders who have generated success. Think about the soft skills, right? The the number one is for me is resiliency. Like it's hard to build companies, and I know we're talking about network here, but our startup friends, like what they have to go through is so difficult. And the second one is a fast follow. It's adaptability because you have to shift as you go along. The last one is competitiveness. So you have to want to think that you're the best to bring something to the market. The third one, like I'm associated with network, is curiosity, right? If you're curious about how to engage relationships and connect people together, good stuff happens, right? And it may not be good stuff that benefits you, but there is this karmic value to being a good purveyor of network that I've witnessed help and support people who are that again and again and again and again, right? And so you don't necessarily know what the outcome is, but the more that you're helping other people through the relationships you've built, the more likely something's going to break your way in the future.
Absolutely. It's this ecosystem of give first, I think, as you described it from the TechStars perspective, and believing that if you pay that into your network, you pay that into other people, that over time, that will come back to you in spades. And so I definitely one, have benefited from it directly, but two, kind of understand that mentality around how you think about relationships. Fantastic. Well, John, I'd love to end with a final question for you, which is what do you think is the single biggest lesson that you've learned about whether it's relationship management or as you describe it, being a good purveyor of network that you think most people get wrong?
Yeah. So I'll tell you the thing that I think is most important through all this. And again, I think it's an underrated value, but just be kind. All of us like struggle in day to day, and you have no idea what people are going through. I get to see a front row seat on entrepreneurship with the work that I do. And being an entrepreneur can be mentally taxing. It can be lonely. It's professional career and hard. So like if I relate how to navigate network to those folks, I've been doing it for a decade. It's like what I know, right? That piece of kindness, I think, is something that is often appreciated when given, and probably given less than it should be. So that's probably what I would want to represent most is as a takeaway. Just be kind.
That's a phenomenal takeaway to end with, which is kindness and being kind. And I think even the way you think about network, giving first, like connecting great people, that is kindness in action in many ways. And so it very much dovetails with the rest of the themes of the conversation. So, John, thank you so much for being willing to spend time with us, especially having to fit this in between hanging outside of a Starbucks. If someone wants to find out more about you or Techstars, where should they go?
Yeah. So a couple different things. And by the way, I think this represents, you know, being open and kind, in scenarios, right? You're trying to get a podcast off the ground. If I don't do this, shame on me. right? And I think more people have to view the world that way to support other people's dreams and momentum, whatever they're trying to get off the ground. So, a couple things you can do if you want to apply to TechStars, techstars.com. Give you a whole insight into who we are. We're the largest investor in seed stage tech companies in the world. I have about 4,200 companies in our portfolio. First 8 years I was here, I helped cross connect all those people. Lately, I'm the storyteller, the evangelist. If you go to toolkit.techstars.com, this goes back to Give First. We've actually synthesized some of the best learnings that come out of our accelerators in video tutorial. Our best people in the world trying to help you out. No gating, no email. You just type that in. You have access to that. We have venturedeals.techstars.com, which reverse engineers how to navigate investor relations if you're trying to raise capital. And then for anybody looking for a job here, jobs.techstars.com. As of today, I think we have 3,800 jobs available within Techstars portfolio companies. And I can think of no better thing than to try to give somebody a gift of opportunity to work at the incredible companies like yours that represent this network that I've had the blessing to operate.
Fantastic, John. A bunch of great calls to action for the audience. Please do check all of those out. And John, thank you so much for the time. I'm looking forward to the next time we connect.
Yeah, you got me anytime. You know that. See you, my friend.
Yeah. See ya.